Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me. We're going to be talking about yogurt versus kefir today and which one is better. There's some differences between kefir and yogurt, and I want to explain it to you because I love both of these fermented foods. And kefir has the most probiotic strains of any cultured food. And they also have good yeast in them. That's what kind of separates them from yogurts, is that it has so many good yeasts. And we need those good yeasts too. People don't think about that. Most people think yeasts are bad because they always think of candida. But there's a lot of good yeasts that we need. And actually, we have just as many of those in our body as we do bacteria. So there's a lot of beneficial strains in kefir. But yogurt has some good benefits too. So I read once that yogurt is like wine and kefir is more like champagne. Kefir has more pizzazz. It can be a little bit more effervescent and more bubbly than yogurt because yogurt doesn't really do that. And that's because of the good yeast in it. So yogurt was the first learning step in my cultured food life. And as a little girl, I loved frozen yogurt as a child. And it was kind of a big deal because that wasn't something that was around when I was younger. That wasn't a very popular thing. But my dad took me to a health food store, which I loved this health food store. And I was little. And we would go there once a week. And health food stores smell different. I don't know if it's the vitamins and minerals, but they always smelled different than a regular store. And I always liked that smell. I don't know why. And there was a man and his wife who ran the store, and I loved them. And they were older, and they looked so young and so healthy. And he would take me there, and the man that owned the store would give me a scoop of that frozen yogurt, and he would prop me up on a stool, and he was just the sweetest guy ever. And I started to love, when I was little, I loved yogurt in those little cups. I would scoop them out with a spoon, and I loved breaking the curd with my spoon. And it was that was my first really experience with cultured foods, was going to that health food store and yogurts. And little did I know that it was just the beginning for me. So then fast forward many years later, after my third child, that is when I found kefir, and I found it when I needed it the most. Kefir has many more strains of beneficial bacteria and good yeast, over 50 in homemade kefir. And while yogurt has very specific strains that you need, such as things like bifidobacteria, L-reuteri, L-gastrite, those are specific strains. You're not getting the plethora of all the ones that you get in kefir. Kefir bacteria acts like a SWAT team, attaching themselves to the colon and then pushing away harmful substances and bacteria and pathogens. Now, L-reuteri yogurt can do that too in the upper gastro area instead of in the colon, and it is very unique. It does different things with each of those yogurts, do different things with their unique strains. And actually, L-reuteri is used to clean fermentation vats. It's so strong that it kills other bacteria in there because it wants to dominate. And it too acts like a SWAT team. It's very, very strong. And that's why they use it to clean the fermentation vats when they're in the places that make yogurts and other fermented foods. So now, one of the things I want to tell you about, the carb counts on yogurt and kefir are actually different than what's stated on the packages of most products you see in supermarkets. So when labeling a food product, the government makes manufacturers count the carbohydrates of food by difference. And that means they measure everything else, including waters, fats, and proteins. And then by difference, they assume everything else is a carbohydrate. Now, this process will work differently with fermented foods, and there's no way to compensate consistently for what bacteria can do, so they don't account for it. They just leave it on there. But here's the deal. When you make yogurt or kefir, the milk is inoculated with lactic acid bacteria. This bacteria uses up almost all of the milk sugars, called lactose, and converts it into lactic acid. It is the lactic acid which curdles the milk and gives it the taste, that sour taste in the product. It tastes sour because the sugars, the lactose, are gone. And since these bacteria have eaten most of the milk sugars by the time you buy it, or if you make it yourself, the nutritional analyst is not really accurate by the time you eat it. There's very little carbohydrate left. It is the lactic acid which is counted as a carbohydrate, and therefore you can eat up to a half a cup of plain yogurt or a cup of kefir and only count about maybe 1 to 2 grams for kefir and maybe 4 grams of carbohydrates for yogurt. Kefir just is, that's why it's more sour and tart. And the more sour and tart the yogurt or the kefir is, the less sugars there is in it. So kefir was the very first cultured food that really brought wellness to my life and to my whole family. And I'm really thankful for having gone through the pain that I went through to understand that there was something out there that was a food that could help me. And kefir, again, has the highest number of probiotics of any of the cultured foods, over 50 plus with good bacteria and good yeast. Those are all counted in there. But it's been life-changing for me. So the other great thing about kefir is the amount of not only the good yeast and the good bacteria, but the amount of enzymes that are in kefir. That's very high. The good yeast that put that fizz in kefir, they dominate, kill, and control pathogens in the gut. They strengthen your gut, making it hard for pathogens to dominate and survive, and for parasites to exist. They help that. So drinking your kefir and your yogurt too will help strengthen your whole immune system. Now, I have a list of all the bacteria and yeast in kefir if you want to look at that, but you have to go to the article. It's a big pop-up because I don't want to read them all. It would take forever. But here are some of the things that kefir may do for you. I have personally experienced these things and witnessed them from the countless emails and those who post on my live touch page with testimonies. So here are things that I've experienced and other people have, and the things that kefir can help you with. It can lower your blood pressure, and especially happen for me. And they say it can happen in 1 out of 3 people, depending on what's causing the high blood pressure. It may help lower cholesterol, which I have seen myself and many other people. It has a calming effect on the central nervous system. It really does, because it supplies you with so many nutrients that your body needs, that it helps the neurotransmitters in your brain to give you that calming effect that you need to make life better for you and to make life as it should be, because oftentimes you're missing key nutrients, key elements in your body that help to keep you calm. Kefir detoxes and removes harmful substances, which is very, very common. In the beginning, when you first start drinking kefir, you may notice what they call a healing crisis or a Herkomer reaction. And what that is that's large amounts of good bacteria that you've ingested in kefir are going after pathogens, harmful bacteria, killing them and trying to remove them from the body. But when they die off, they can give off harmful toxins and substances that can make you feel kind of crappy in the beginning, but that's usually short-lived. But then it cleans house, and then you've got a healthy microbiome that we all need and that we all don't take care of because we don't see it, we don't know about it, but there's an entire universe down there controlling things, a million different processes in the body that bacteria do, because you have trillions of bacteria. And it's one of those things that goes unseen by yourself and the human eye, but it is definitely going on in the gut. And it's a great way to regain balance. It also reduces inflammation. There's studies out that show that kefir has 19 anti-inflammatory properties that help to reduce inflammation. I have seen that in so many people. For instance, people like with asthma, people with lung problems, it reduces the inflammation in the lungs, helps keep them healthy, and it reduces inflammation throughout the body. And it is a very powerful tool against inflammation. And it's one of the ones that I think is the best at it. It may lower blood sugar. I've had a lot of people, including myself, where it helped really restore my blood sugar levels and did really well. I had a friend who's a CPA, and she saw such dramatic improvements with kefir that her doctor told her to keep taking it because blood sugars would go up without it. And I've seen that in myself and so many others. It's a very effective, I have a whole article on that, on how kefir, and there's some research on it, how it can help you with your blood sugar. It may help with acid reflux. That was the first thing I noticed that it helped with my husband. And I had many of my friends' husbands all got rid of their acid reflux medication because of kefir. Another thing that kefir does is it feeds bifido, which is one of your most important bacteria. There isn't bifidobacteria in kefir, but it does feed it. It makes it grow, and you want that to grow. That's the young bacteria. It helps control your immune system. It keeps autoimmune diseases at bay, and is very, very important. Now, let's talk about yogurts. We have recently, in the last few years, introduced new yogurts, and they kind of rock my world. They're really, I've always been a kefir girl, but since these yogurts that we got had specific strains in them that aren't in kefir, these special cultures have filled the gap and made such a difference. Making your own yogurt is far superior to buying store-bought yogurts. They often sit on store shelves and diminish bacterial counts. In addition, they can be full of additives, fillers, and stabilizers to make their yogurt stable and not separate. So there's a lot of stuff in those yogurts. Making your own will ensure that you get high colony-forming units, or CFUs, and you'll get the specific strains that you're looking for without all the extra sugars and additives that you get in store-bought yogurts. And a lot of these yogurts you can't find in stores. So the three yogurts we're going to be talking about, Yogurt Plus, Algasrite, and Alruteride. Now, Yogurt Plus is very important because it contains the all-important bifidobacteria. And I probably make Yogurt Plus, I probably make that the most of all the yogurts because I use it in so many things. And I like having it around because there's one that is called vanilla yogurt where I put, and you can do this with any type of milk, but I put just a little bit of vanilla extract or vanilla bean curd or something in the yogurt, and it just makes the best yogurt ever. And I like the flavor of it. That's something that I do all the time. And I like that it has bifido in it. It also has other strains in it that are very important. And bifido is the predominant microorganism in the intestine within a week of your birth. You get it from your mother, and Yogurt Plus has that in. It's very good for you. But Yogurt Plus also contains Streptococcus, Thermophilus, and Lactobacillus, Delbrueckii, and Bulgarius bacteria, which Bulgarius yogurt is fabulous. So good for you. They work together in a symbiosis way. That's one of the great things about this yogurt. And Streptococcus and bifido work on anxiety and depression-like behaviors. It decreases the level of harmful bacteria in the brain-derived neurofactors that are neurotropic factors that happen that help to make you, reduce the levels of a tumor necrosis factor in the hippocampus, which is really important. It helps your mood. It helps your brain stay healthy. Bifido also helps, especially bifido, helps with food allergies. So many people are missing large amounts of bifido, which they should have, which causes a myriad of food allergies, everything from dairy to wheat to, I saw this within my daughter many, many years ago. She really struggled when she didn't have enough of it. It also helps with anxiety and depression, obesity, increases insulin sensitivity, helps with irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, and you can make it in so many different ways. I even make Yogurt Plus into a sour cream. It's fabulous. It tastes really good. So I stopped buying store-bought sour creams because it works so well in so many of my recipes. And it's really good for us too, and I enjoy making it. Now, the second one is Alruteride yogurt, which is just a powerful, powerful strain of bacteria that has many health benefits. It's hard to get into supplements. It doesn't work very well. It can kind of mess you up if you take a lot of Alruteride supplements. And it's a very important bacteria. And if you've had a lot of antibiotics, it's mostly gone. And most people are missing it. But every animal, every human should have that bacteria. It's the way that it works. They have different strains, like animals have different strains than we do. But almost everybody should have it. And it lives in the upper gastro area, making the cultured yogurt that we make the best way to get more Alruteride, because you get high CFUs in this yogurt because we ferment it for a long time. It can make a really huge difference in your life. I've had so many people contact me that they feel so much better. It helps get rid of SIBO. Alruteride is really good at that, even on its own. We have Algasrite that works with it, but even if you can only do one yogurt, Alruteride really helps with SIBO. It produces like antibiotic qualities that kill off the harmful bacteria that are in the upper gastro area that don't belong there. And it also has a huge effect on your sleep, really deep sleep. increase muscle growth, and feelings of wellness over. It creates that um, oxytocin, the love hormone, it helps to create that. And again, it's great for controlling candida. It improves your skin, and it also helps with things like H. pylori. And it's a wonderful yogurt, and people are really loving it. It's a little bit trickier to make than other yogurts, but we have a lot of help for you if you need that. Now, the last you're going to want to talk about is L-gaceri. It's a very important microbe that lives in the genital and urinary and digestive systems of the body. And it also has the special ability to live in the upper gastro area, similar to L. reuteri. So L-gaceri is also believed to offer specific health benefits for those with SIBO, which is small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, if I didn't say that earlier, where basically there's bacteria in that area that doesn't belong there, and it causes all kinds of problems. And I think a lot of that's being caused by people taking a lot of supplements that open up parts of the body where they don't belong. So L. reuteri and gaceri seem to be quite effective for SIBO, and it also helps the genital area for things like UTIs, bacterial vaginosis, which can cause all kinds of problems with yeast infections. It also can help with peptic ulcers, IBS, and inflammatory bowel disease. And there's some research that suggests that it helps with body weight and reducing fat accumulation. It's supposed to be very effective in helping the body just restore balance, because you're supposed to have that in your body naturally, but so many have had so many antibiotics that it's just killed it off. So which of these do I like the best? Well, I used to always say it was Kefir, but that was before L. reuteri, Yogurt Plus, and L-gaceri. And now I love them too. So it's really hard to pick. It's like trying to pick a kid that you like the best. But I like Kefir because it has the most probiotics. But I love these yogurts too, and I eat them all the time. So I usually have Kefir, most of smoothie almost every day. But then some days I want Yogurt Plus, or sometimes I want L. reuteri. It just depends on my day. I don't eat. I probably have Kefir the most of all of them, and then that's the one that I've just done that for over 20 years, 22, maybe 22 years, and it's just a mainstay of my diet. It just makes me feel good. It keeps me healthy, and it's just an easy breakfast too. I usually use frozen fruits, and I can do a combination. I love blueberry. I've got a lot of different fruit recipes I do, depending on my mood, and then Kefir, and then usually I'll put some either collagen in it powder or protein powder. I like that too, because I've got one I really like right now. I'm using more protein in my diet because it really helps me. And as you get older, you need that more. I've really found that makes a big difference. And on my website, if you guys want to know which ones I use, on my website, if you go to the product, and you'll see a menu bar that pops up. If you scroll to the bottom, you'll see my Amazon storefront. I just kind of put this on there not too long ago, but I have the supplements I use. I have the protein powders, the collagen, like things I use to ferment jars in there, like bottles for Kefir soda. But it's all sectioned into categories, and then you can see which things I use on a regular basis. And I have the products I have for both collagen and protein powder on there too. So, but I do use that probably almost every day in my smoothie. It also gives it a little flavor because I get the vanilla flavored ones. And so it makes the smoothie taste really good. So like this morning, what did I have? I had Kefir, and I had frozen spinach that I just threw in there. I had vanilla protein powder and vanilla collagen powder. I put both of those in there. And then I put what did I put in there? Oh, I put some frozen bananas and some frozen persimmons that I had. I just chopped in half, stuck them in there, and then I put some mint flavoring in to kind of make it taste like a mint smoothie, because I do that with the spinach. And let's see, what else did I do? Oh, I put some cacao nibs in it just to give it like a chocolate chip smoothie. So that's what I had for breakfast, and I blended it all up. And it was really good. It's kind of like mint smoothie with a little bit of chocolate taste in it too. And sometimes I'll use chocolate collagen powder instead of the vanilla, and that gives it more flavor. But anyway, that's what I have for breakfast this morning. And then I also have Yogurt Plus in there that I had as a snack because I have some mangoes, and I had vanilla Yogurt Plus that I had made, and that was a snack I had later on. So, and that's just kind of what I do. Not every day. Every day I do something different. I'm not a person that does the same recipe every day, because that's why I have so many recipes, because I'm always thinking of new ones. But those are something I do. I have arugula. I made a pie out of arugula. I made like a cheesecake raw pie that I have on my website with strawberries. And we had that last night after it was my daughter's birthday. So I had made some of that. So I was eating that. I had a einkorn graham cracker crust on that, which I'm in love with. So those are just some of the little things I do. I do a lot of different things, but those are just some of the ways that I have my yogurts and my smoothies. There's a million things you can do with kefir and yogurt. You can make it into cheese. We do dips. We do that all the time. And those are great. Those taste really good. But anyway, that's just some of the stuff. I love them all. I like kefir and yogurt, but kefir does have a little bit more benefits in the regards that it has the good yeast and it has more strains of bacteria. But the other ones have specific strains that you need and want. So it's really up to you. But if I was to recommend something, I would tell people to start with kefir. Unless they're having SIBO, then I would tell them to start with L-reuteri or L-gaceri. And we're learning more and more about these all the time as we've been testing new things and doing new things and sending it to labs to see how much bacteria is in things. So it's really interesting, and I'll keep you updated as we do. So thanks for listening, guys. Those are just a few of the things I know about kefir and yogurt. And you'll live longer if you have them. I'll tell you that. It keeps you young and keeps you healthy and keeps that bacteria thriving. So I really encourage you to try these special fermented foods that are living foods that are made of the very things that you're made of inside of you, which is trillions of bacteria that we can't even see, but are doing so many things for us that keep us healthy and thriving and our immune system really strong. So thanks for listening, guys. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.